Good morning. Welcome. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be working on some relax and restore yoga. We're going to be utilizing some hip openers, which we've been working on for the last couple of weeks, but also doing some intuitive meditation just to really settle into our bodies. And I'll be working specifically with some IT band openers and just kind of softening the legs and hips. And so go ahead and get started on your mat. If you have any tools that you have at your house, you're going to need 2 blankets, you're going to need 2 pillows, 2 yoga blocks or 2 large books, and a strap. You can use a yoga strap, or if you don't have a yoga strap, you can use like a strap off your bathrobe and your yoga mat. And so you can play some soft, gentle music if you'd like to. Just some like spa music is always good. I really like ones with nature sounds in them. So I'm going to be utilizing a playlist from the artists David and Steve Gordon. So if you want to pull something like that up, it's really nice. It has nature sounds incorporated into the music, and they're very conscious artists. So I like to use that for my relax and restore yoga. So let's go ahead and begin on our mat. So you're going to find your meditation cushion or a firm cushion off your couch and find your seated position. I'm using Siddhasana, where my ankles are not crossed, and the hips are dropped open. You can use Sukhasana, where your ankles are crossed underneath you, but you may not need the cushion if your hips naturally drop open. If your hips are a little bit tight, you might try dropping the hips open and then taking a blanket like so, which feels really supportive. Even if your hips naturally open, just kind of snuggling in that blanket just makes you feel really comfortable here. So as you all are jumping on here, we'll just give it a minute just to settle in. And while you do that, I'm going to pull up my playlist. You may or may not be able to hear it. I'm not going to put it super loud because sometimes it acts weird and it makes the music kind of spotty. But the one I would like to recommend it is with some nature sounds in it. Let's just begin to breathe in and out through the nose. Nice full deep breath. Just observe where your breath is today. Deepening the breath, lengthening, opening the shoulders, pulling up from the crown of your head, reaching up toward bottom sky, and then settling the tailbone down by tilting the pubic bone slightly forward. Let the tailbone begin to ground into the earth. Feel your legs grounding, softening. On your inhale, expand your ribs. Lift up through the heart center, all the way to the tip to top crown of your head. And then exhale everything out. We'll just do a few more rounds, just connecting with the breath. Again, find your hips and your lower back and tailbone supported by your props. Begin to see if you could lengthen your inhales and your exhales. Bring our hands to our heart center in Anjali Mudra. And take a moment here just to set your intention for your practice. Go ahead and move the prop out from underneath your tailbone if you have that there. We're going to bring our feet into butterfly, feet together. And maybe bring some extra props underneath the outsides of the hips. So I'm going to use my box here, or you can use a second blanket or another pillow. And then drawing the feet together so that the soles of the feet touch. I'm just going to rock yourself from side to side to ground down through your sitting bones. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, begin to fold forward by drawing the elbows out towards your calves. And just folding forward. Let your head drop out. Just shake the head. Lift up a tiny bit. And then exhale, dropping into your forward bend in your butterfly. Taking the head out. Gently coming up. Back to butterfly pose. Go ahead and extend the feet forward and find your staff. Pulling the toes back towards you. Draw your hips right between the center of your thumbs so that your hands are just a secondary support to your spine. See if you can spread out those toes. We're just moving through the fascia, just getting the fascia of the body supple. We're going to move into our seated forward bend. So taking your larger cushion, a couple blankets, and just stacking that up on your lap. Let's take a big reach up. Inhale. Hands to the heart center. We're going to fold forward and just begin to drop over your props. Now with your feet in dorsiflexion, it's going to be a lot tighter on the back of the hamstring. So don't lose the integrity in your feet just to get deeper into your fold. So instead, stack your props up a little higher and closer to you, and then just fold over that. Let your head drop out. Go ahead and take whatever you have nearby to prop up your head, so that way your head is just not dangling, and you have support for your chin or your forehead. So I'd like you just to start out with just kind of dropping over your props and not really folding deeply, just a nice relaxing forward fold where you're not forcing yourself to go deep into this forward fold. You're just simply surrendering your body forward. As your fascia begins to soften and loosen up, the fascia wraps from the very top of your forehead all the way around the back of the body like a big spider web of energy, all the way around the bottoms of your feet. So this is why we have our feet here in dorsiflexion, to keep those feet activated. And so as we fold forward, all those little things of like spider webs of energy that have kind of knotted together and formed all of this, what they call fuzz, it starts to pop and break open very gently. So you don't want to force this. You can bend the knees and kind of soften the backs of the hamstrings. Make sure that you're not pushing the knees down, and then just fold. Let yourself just relax here. You might want to adjust where your props are, or just leave it. And just breathe. Feeling completely supported in your forward fold. See if you can breathe into those tight places on the back of your body. Again, we're always tempted to force and make our forward fold look like it would look in a magazine. This is not a yoga journal forward fold. This is something that is just a place where you can surrender and rest. Okay, so don't try to think it has to look like anything. Let yourself relax. Continue to lengthen through your spine and then soften a little bit more. So your spine is getting tall, and then you're dropping your chest forward, then your chin. Still activate those feet, but not so much that we're forcing the knees to press down. You notice I have my palms open as well. This helps me from gripping or feeling like I have to pull. So there's no pulling here. There's no forcing. There's no holding. This is all about surrender and soften. Our theme is awakening and transforming. So just like a potter would transform the clay, it has to be supple and warm in the potter's hands before you can work with it, right? And that's what happens with our fascia. We have to be soft and warm, and we have to be in a place where we can be molded into the shape that Spirit wants us to be. And this only comes from deepening our practices, from softening with the breath and allowing versus forcing. So just think about where in your life you can just allow more flow. Soften and relax. Take about 3 more deep breaths. If you want to deepen a little bit, if you feel like you're able to just melt down forward, just kind of like you can imagine like a Reese's peanut butter cup sitting in the sun. And at first it's like firm and it has those little ridges on it. And then it sits there and the ridges begin to melt and then the chocolate begins to soften off of it. And then pretty soon it's this little puddle of peanut butter and chocolate on the concrete. So you're just letting those outer edges soften until you get to the peanut butter, the juicy part, and then you can really soften down. Gently begin to walk our way back up, moving the props out. Just finding our staff pose. Breathing here. Bringing the crown of the head straight above the tailbone. Feel your belly soften. Let your tailbone deepen and soften by tilting the pubic bone slightly forward. Lengthen through your low back and your sacrum. So what does that feel like to let your tailbone descend and still keep your heart center lifted? Let's go ahead and move our props out. We're going to grab our strap today. So we're going to do a lot today where we're really working with the hamstrings, the IT band. And so I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I'd like you to take your strap and just make it big enough for one of your feet to fit through. And we're just going to put it around the bony part of our foot. So you can see here, it's just on the ball of my foot. It's not around the instep. It's not pinching my toes. It's around the widest part of the foot. And we're going to just pull the strap where the buckle is just on the outside. Okay? Now from here, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and recline all the way back. And we're going to take some props to the right side of you. I'm going to stack them up. If you want to take a moment to hydrate, go ahead and do that. Grab your props and bring everything out to the right side. So we're going to stack all of our props up and bring it about 2 feet from our hip. Grab your strap, scoot yourself to the middle of your mat, and then bring your right leg to the sky. You're going to keep your left leg bent at first, okay? Dorsiflexion so that the foot is active. Again, make sure you're not squishing your pinky toe. Now from here, we're going to begin to just imagine if you could reach your foot here. Now, you may not be able to, so that's why we're using the strap. The strap is kind of mediating that space between where you can comfortably reach your foot. So if I did, I'd be having to lift up, but I don't want to do that. So I'm keeping my shoulders relaxed on the ground. So I'm using the strap here. Just as an aid, you may be able to reach your foot, but still use your strap, okay? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the tail end of my strap and bring it around underneath my shoulders. I have a long one, and if it's short, you can just reach the tail end here. But I'm going to set the strap underneath my shoulder girdle so I have more support. And I'm not having to just hold it with my hand, okay? And then the tail end is going to just be out to the side. Inhale, and then exhale, drop, open. And bring your leg to rest on your props. Now, if you have tilted and you've lifted your left hip up and to get over those props, it means your props aren't high enough because you want to keep your shoulders and your hips level. So you might just stack even more stuff on there so you can bring your foot out, okay? So you want to bring your foot out to the side and your leg to be straight without tilting and rolling over to get there. So reach out again as if you're reaching for the big toe. The traditional posture would be taking your 2-piece fingers and reaching your big toe. But I'm not going to be doing that today because I'm in a restorative posture where I could let my shoulders relax and I'm not activating my arms and I'm not activating my core. So I'm not going to be reaching for my big toe with my 2-piece fingers, even though I can. And from here, lift up your shoulders and level them out. Same thing with the hips, it's just kind of wiggle. So the hips are dropping open. As you begin to deepen, what you're going to do to deepen is just draw your props a little closer to your shoulder and come in where your toe is getting closer to your shoulder. So I'm activating my bicep, and that's really about it. But to keep my arm from doing all the work, I'm taking this tail end and sitting back on this strap, and I can hold the tail end with my hand. So that way, I'm just supporting this posture with my body. I'm not having to force. Begin to breathe in and out through the belly. And from here, if you'd like to deepen still, just continue to slide the props up. You might want to move a prop out. And again, notice if you're having to tilt to the side, and if you are, what's happening there is you're rolling onto the side, so you're no longer in this abductor. So right now we're working with the abductor, which is moving away. AB, abduct, is moving away. AD, adduct, is moving toward. So adding is moving toward. So we are moving into abduction and just letting the hip just naturally soften through that inner groin. All of those long, large muscles, they take a long time to soften and settle down. So they do have to be fully supported by gravity. There's not space between my leg and the ground. Continue to tug like a little pulley on that other tail end. You might have a shorter strap where you're just holding it right here by your shoulder. I have a 10-foot strap where I'm holding it way out here. And every time I pull on this strap, I can bring my toe a little closer to my shoulder without any kind of force, just soften. Take some deep belly breaths here. Maybe draw a little bit closer as you take those last few breaths on this side. Make sure your props go with you. If you'd like to deepen still, you could extend that bottom leg and dorsiflex the bottom foot. And that gets into the inner psoas of your left leg as well. And breathe. Go ahead and bring your strap out from underneath you. We're going to bend the knee and bring the strap to the sky. So now we're holding with the opposite hand. And take all of our props and move them out to the other side. So I'm going to take the opposite hand to the opposite foot. Leg is still straight. Both feet are in dorsiflexion. This is a really deep IT band, so you might want to start by not choking up on the strap so much. And just come over to the side. And you might want to adjust where your props are because you want to make sure that you're catching your leg. There we go. And then we're just going to take that twist by dropping the arm open. There's a huge line of energy that runs down the side of your leg. So I really advise you not to force through here because you can inflame this area and really piss it off. And you think it's like you're pushing through because it's, oh, it feels really good. Later, you're going to regret that. Just take it easy, okay? There's no need to force. There's no need to force. Just let it be wherever it wants to be today. You're just simply adding your breath. In and out through the nose. Tuck your props underneath your whole leg so your leg is very supported. I'm just holding onto my strap. What you can do is you can wrap your strap around your hand and just, choke up just a little bit. And that way you can just let your hand drop out. Lift your shoulders and let the shoulders drop out as well. And if you're really surrendered, you can just let the arm drop open and you don't have to hold your foot at all. Loosen your bottom glute because a lot of times that's still holding you up. It's like, oh, I've got you, I've got you. Let that left glute relax. Soften the knee a little bit. Breathe. In and out through the nose. Put your eyes closed down if that feels good. Deepen the breath. We're going to take our foot to the sky. Roll back over very slowly. Settle your shoulders underneath you. We're going to come into happy baby. So taking the strap off, we're going to set it to the other side. Take both peace fingers, wrapping them around the big toe. Lock your thumbs over your peace fingers. Just gently soften. and rock. Breathe here. Go ahead and set the right foot down. Grab your strap. Take the buckle out to the outside of the foot and place it over the ball of the foot. Extend the foot to the sky. Now we're going to come through that same sequence starting on the opposite side. So adjusting where your props are. And we're going to bring them about 2 feet out from the hip. On that left side, reach up for your strap. Lift up. Take the strap underneath the shoulder girdle. And just rest on it. Take the tail end out to the side and just tug. Reaching up, we're going to drop open. Just activating your bicep by tugging slightly. Let your right knee drop open slightly. Lift up and even out the pelvis and the shoulders. Now again, excuse me, notice if you're turning like that. And if your hip is lifting up, then your props are way too low. You need to have your props up high enough so that you can keep your hips completely in neutral and then let that hip drop open. So that might look like, stacking several more pillows, even 2 rows of pillows so they don't fall. And you can stack them up as high as you want, just so you have that support, okay? And once you get there, you can start to move stuff away as your body begins to soften. Again, there's no goal here. If someone on the video has, really open hips, and then someone sees that, they're like, oh, wow, well, she only has a block. She doesn't even have a ton of pillows. Just let that go. It doesn't matter. It does not matter whatsoever in the course of things. This is just yoga. So just let yourself be wherever the props need to be. If you want more support, you can take and make a loop around your hand. That way you don't feel like you have to grip as you support. Still keep your toes active so you're pulling your toes back. You can extend that right leg if you'd like to deepen here. So begin to tug the toe closer to your shoulder. As you do that, you're going to grab your props and bring them in a little bit closer. And then take that tail end of that strap and pull with your right hand. And again, you can wrap around the hand here, just so you don't have to really hold it. Nice deep belly breath here. So this is kind of like a little pulley system. My girlfriend calls it the Texas pulley. So you're just pulling and then deepening. Continue to deepen until you've found your edge without forcing. Again, this is restorative yoga. Every bit of this is supported. There is absolutely no space between your body and the floor that is not filled with a prop. We're using gravity to 100% advantage to get deeper into those ligaments and those tissues, deeper into the deepest layers of the muscles. But you can't get there until you're supported. Feel free to close the eyes down. This, by straightening the leg, is also a deep inner psoas stretch on that deep groin. So that might be too much, and you might just want to bring the knee up. You can also drop it open into a partial butterfly if that feels good. And breathe. Slowly begin to straighten the leg, bend the left knee, and bring the foot to the sky. Take the strap out from underneath you. Rub your props. Move them out to the other side. They're going to be down a little bit lower because you're going to come more straight out from the hip this time. Take the strap with your opposite hand. Breathe in, shift your hips slightly to the right, and drop into your twist. Now, if it seems really far, go ahead and take some more props. From here, just let the left arm drop out, lift the shoulders, and let the shoulders melt. Centering your props so you don't feel like you're just balancing on a stack. Straighten your bottom leg and use dorsiflexion. What happens here is as you dorsiflex the feet, you're spreading out those toes, you're pushing energy out through your foot chakras, and it allows that energy as space to release. So you're asking the energy to soften and then flow. And by flexing that foot, you're giving it a space to release out the top foot, a space to release out the bottom foot. You're dropping the shoulders open and letting the shoulders melt so it can release into the earth. So whatever it is that you're holding on to, you're allowing it the opportunity now to release. Turn your head, take that twist into your cervical spine, and breathe. Now release that bottom glute. It's going to want to hold you in place. I've got you. I'm just the biggest muscle in the body. I'm going to hold you tight. I've got you. No thanks. I don't need your help. You've been helping a long time. I would like to ask you to soften and flow. So you're having this inner conversation with your muscles, with your body. It's okay. I'm supported. You can release. You don't have to hold me so tightly. You can let go of that grip and let your muscles have the permission to soften. You can let your knees soften just a little bit here, still keeping the feet and the toes active. And that's going to help to allow those larger muscles to relax a little bit more. Big breath in, bend your knee into your chest, roll onto your back very slowly. You've moved a lot of energy. Take your strap out. We're going to come into happy baby. Move our props out. So hug our knees into our chest, Apanasana, and gently rock. Nice back and forth and the other way. Let's come into happy baby. Taking your 2-piece fingers and just bobbing the hips open. Ananda. Balasana. Blissful baby. From here, we're going to come back into butterfly. This time, supine, reclining. Supta Pada Baddha Konasana. So Supta is reclining. Pada is the bottoms of your feet. Baddha is the bind. A Kona is an angle. So we're making a reclining bound angle. Go ahead and relax the feet down and grab your props. We're going to take a block and a blanket at minimum, maybe higher, over each side. And just bringing that underneath the hips for support. And just adjust the hips, lifting up the shoulders and just letting the shoulders melt open. And just for today, let's take our arms up overhead. We're going to make down an upward facing triangle, touching the thumbs and the index fingers, and drop the hips and shoulders open into a nice, deep, relaxed state. Close the eyes. Channeling in information, wisdom, and guidance into the crown chakra. Connecting that energy through the soles of the feet. Just feeling that complete circuit of energy moving through the body like a figure eight. Coming in from the crown of the head, swirling around the left arm, down to the heart, around the right hip, down to the left knee, around the foot, up to the back of the right foot, all the way around the right ankle, around the left hip, the right ribs, the left shoulder, the left arm, and back to the top. We're just swirling that energy like a DNA strand, following the curvatures of your body. The energy moves down the right arm, across the right shoulder to the left hip, down the left knee, across and down to the soles of the feet, and then switching direction to the bottoms of the foot, around the right knee, right leg, right hip, across the body towards the left side of the chest, up and around the left elbow, up to the fingertips, and then back down to the right arm, right shoulder, down through across the heart center to the left hip, back down across the right knee, and down to the foot, and then switching directions at the bottom of the feet, coming back up the left, around the left knee, through the left hip, across to the right shoulder. And just following this pattern of energy, basically weaving us into the cosmos with this figure eight. The energy is going to naturally begin to move like a DNA strand. So then just begin to let go of the pattern and let your energy just flow naturally, connecting you with Mother Earth, Father Sky, asking your angels, your guides, your master teachers for their guidance and their help, the archangels, especially Archangel Michael, for protection and guidance. Any other spirit animals that you connect to, this is a perfect opportunity just to connect and call them in, giving them thanks. And just breathe. Let yourself just melt down like that little peanut butter cup in the sun on hot sidewalk. At first, it forms exactly like the little paper cup liner. And then it begins to just take its own natural shape, softening into a pool of chocolate and peanut butter, swirling in the sun, melting down, becoming one with the ground. And it can always take form again once it cools down and begins to be shaped. But allowing your creator to shape you into the shape that is your divine path. And the only way we do that is by surrendering and melting and allowing. So that way we could be shaped by that potter. And allow our clay to be reformed into something that's in our highest good, for the highest good of all. And if that's your intention, asking that with your heart today. Asking your source to form you into that divine, perfect shape so you can be that little vessel, that little pot of clay. Tug our knees into our chest, keeping the eyes closed and just hugging the body and giving ourselves love. Gently rocking side to side. Let's go ahead and roll over to our side and rest our head on our bottom arm. And then just moving out the blocks, let's take our blanket between the knees and just giving ourselves support. Take your props behind you and tuck them all the way in so they're touching your back, and you feel the whole backside supported and like you're tucked into your bed. Close your eyes and rest your head on your bottom arm. And then taking the top hand by the ribs, place your hand on the ground to support your shoulders and stacking your shoulders, stacking your hips so that the integrity of the shoulders and the hips are not compromised in your baby pose. Breathe. If you have hair, just take your hands and just squeeze your hair. Just pull and gently massage that scalp. We're going to just gently roll up with your hands, walking ever so gently. And come back to the posture where you began. Again, supporting those outer hips. Even though you can be in this posture, and it's fine without support, how much juicier is it with the support? Why not, right? Just finding your easy seat. And take your cushion, either bring it underneath your sit bones or just tuck it right behind you so it's nice and firm, supporting that sacrum, and then just lean into it. This softens the pelvic girdle. The pelvic girdle is as if it was a bowl of soup, it'd be tilted, and we're just bringing it back into neutral so that the pubic bone slightly comes forward. The low back lengthens and softens, and that sacrum creates some space in it. There's a little sacroiliac joint, which is mobile, and we want to make that nice and stable and then lengthen through that tailbone. And then begin to lift up and out through the crown of your head without compromising the position of your pelvis. And breathe. Fantastic work today, yogis. Fantastic work. Bring our hand into the lotus mudra. Tips of the pinkies together, tips of the thumbs together. Other three fingers extended out wide. And let's bring our hands right over our heart center, filling up our cup. And you might have heard me say before, but I say it all the time, we're going to fill up our cup with our practice. And so our cup begins to overflow. And from that saucer, underneath that cup, that is the space where we can begin to give to the world, but not until that cup is overflowing. So fill yourself up first. It's just like in the airplane where the flight attendant says, put your oxygen mask on first and then help your child. Because if you're out of oxygen, you can't help your kid. You've got to breathe first so you can help the others. Let's bring our hands to our heart center, honoring the light within ourselves, honoring the light within each other, and honoring that light within each and every living being. And together it is within that light that we are all one. We are in this together. We are here connected by our heart centers. Taking a deep bow. Namaste. Thank you so much for your practice today. That was absolutely beautiful. And I will catch you on the next one. Thank you.